In this lesson, I'll introduce you to a local development environment that you can use for free, specifically designed for WordPress. We'll set up our first WordPress website of the course and start getting to know it. Local by Flywheel is a free server environment for WordPress that works well on Windows and Mac. You don't need a Flywheel hosting account to use it, and it allows you to practice and test WordPress quickly and easily. By the end of this lesson, you'll have a working WordPress website you can play with and a fast way to spin up more. Let's get started. First, open up a browser and go to local.getflywheel.com. You'll open this website, which is the homepage for the Local by Flywheel development environment, and you can look through all the features and things about it. But what I want you to do is click the download button and then choose whether you're on Mac or on Windows. Local by Flywheel works almost exactly the same on both platforms. Even the file locations are in a very similar location. So click your platform and fill out your information and click Get It Now. Now it's about a half a gigabyte, 500 megabytes of a file, so it might take a little while. But once you do that, double click the install exe file or the install file for your Mac and get it installed. Pause the video now and install Local by Flywheel, and I'll see you back here. Once you've installed Local by Flywheel, go ahead and navigate to the application, whether you're in Windows or on your Mac. It might be in your Applications folder. And when you start it, it'll ask you for some of the defaults. You can actually just leave all the settings as is. And when you start the actual program, it'll give you a message that it's starting the local machine. Now, this is a server environment installed on your own personal computer. WordPress, as I went over before, needs to have a server as if it were hosted in a live environment. That means it needs to be able to communicate with a database as well as store files and serve them to a browser like Chrome or Firefox. Now, it usually takes a few minutes to start the local machine, and there you go. That one for me took, about 25 seconds. And you could see that I have a few sites already installed in my local environment. You won't have any when you first start, but down at the bottom left here, you can click the plus sign. Go ahead and click the plus sign, and then let's go through the options. First, choose a name. Any name is fine. If you want to look at the advanced options, you can, and you can specifically choose the site domain, the path where it is located on your computer. I like to use the default. And then creating a site from a blueprint is something that we'll go over later. But this, I don't have any blueprints created, and we'll set them up later. And this just means that you can install WordPress with whatever themes or plugins you usually use, and it'll speed up your development process by using a blueprint to create all your new sites. So hit the continue button after you've chosen a name. You can choose a custom type of installation with the PHP version, the web server, and the database MySQL version. And if you've set up your defaults, you'll have a preferred version that it will have here. Let's just go and use the defaults and hit continue. And then you're going to be choosing your WordPress dashboard username and password specifically for this site. Again, you can set that as something that you always know is the default so that all your local environment sites can use the same username and password to make it easy for you. And then there's an email address that you can leave as the default, and that's something that we'll look at later as well. In the advanced options, it tells you that you can choose this site to be a WordPress multi-site installation, which is different than the single site. Let's just leave it as a single site by not choosing anything there. And then you click Add Site. Now it'll open up a special window where you need to give your computer permission to do the things that local needs to do. And this is true of other development environments as well. You're changing some of the very core files in your computer so that you can serve websites as if there were a live web server present. Now once you have this, you can see that it's developing, it's downloading, and there it goes. It'll open up and it will start the site automatically. There's a start and a stop button here by the site name, as well as at the top right, the stop site, and that will be green and have a start button if it's not started yet. Now I have my practice site one that I just created selected here, and you can see that there's a number of different options and different features that we can use here. But for now, leave everything at the defaults, and if you do install more than one site after this, you can see that each one of these is how you select it on the left, and it gives you the options for each of the sites. So if you haven't yet, stop the video and go through that process creating your first WordPress site. Now, before we look at any of these features and options for the site in Local by Flywheel, let's go over here to the right. And first of all, let's just click View Site. This will open up the site in your default browser, and you can see that it opened very quickly. And if I scroll down, this is the default WordPress theme called 2017, and it comes with a big full screen image. The site name is clickable to your URL or your web address. You can see that mine is called practice-site-1.local. Using .local is a way that we can develop sites locally, and that is not going to conflict with any live domain that your browser might go out and try to get. This is how Local by Flywheel sets everything up automatically for you. And so there is the website. Even we can go through and click on any of the active links. You can see this is the first default post that comes in, as well as archives, and then down here the meta widget, which is on the sidebar. This is just a default site layout that comes when you first install WordPress. Now, let's go back to the Local by Flywheel interface, and then this time, let's click Admin. Now, this will open the WordPress Administrator dashboard, which is always either a login page, has the wp-login.php extension, and then it redirects to what is the real WordPress dashboard address, which is wp-admin. So use the login credentials that you had set up in Local by Flywheel and click Login. Oops. You got to remember your password, of course. You can click Save in your browser if it prompts you to do that. And now this is the default WordPress dashboard screen. There's a welcome screen here that gives you a few different links that you can do. I usually dismiss that because this is the real default WordPress dashboard page, the home page of the WordPress dashboard. The name of your site is at the top left, and if you roll over and click Visit Site, of course, it's going to open up the actual site. I like to keep each of these sites open in a different tab in my browser as I have here, so that it's easy to go back and forth and see my changes. And you can see that the default, the URL or the address for the WordPress dashboard is your site domain /wp-admin. And that's all there is to it. You already have a fresh, clean WordPress installation here in your local development environment. You don't have to be on the internet. You can use this on a flight or if you're not connected, and build and practice WordPress websites. Now, if you're back at the Local by Flywheel interface, just to let you know, it does have to be turned on. You can stop the site, and if your site is not quote-unquote running on the web server itself, you go back into your browser, you'll see that if I just refresh that page without the site running, it gives me a message, local router error. This is just telling you that your app, the Local by Flywheel application, which is your WordPress site, is not running. And the dashboard page also will not work. So if you get that message, just go back into Local and make sure your practice site is running. Now, when you first start and open up the practice site, it might take a couple of minutes for it to get up and running, but there you go. It even remembered that I was logged in. Often, if I go up here under my username and log out, I can show you that that again is the wp-login.php URL or web address. But if I do want to, just remember WP admin for the administrator. So if I go to that website, it redirects to the login page. I can click my login. I asked my browser to remember my credentials. And now I would suggest you just click around a little bit and get to know WordPress just a little bit. If you are connected to the internet, WordPress now gives you WordPress events and news in one of the widgets on the dashboard here. And it looks at your location if it knows and gives you some information about WordPress events and news for meetings in your local area, as well as local news, WordPress news right over here. And I can go back and refresh. Now that my server is running again, the practice site is live. Now by default, WordPress, if you're logged in, shows you an administrator bar across the top of even the live website. And I like to go in and open my website dashboard in a different tab, like I mentioned. One of the things I like to do, and this is up to you, is go into my own user account, edit my profile. You can also get that under your profile here on the left side. And I like to uncheck the toolbar checkbox and then save my profile. Now you'll see when I go back to the live website and refresh the page, now it doesn't show that administrator bar, and I can see exactly what the public would see if they look at the website. Go ahead and play with it yourself and know that you've got your first WordPress website up and running, and let's get to it in the next few videos. In this lesson, we downloaded and installed Local by Flywheel, one of the best local development environments available. It allows you to create new WordPress installations very quickly for creating new sites to practice with. In the next video, we'll take a little tour of the WordPress dashboard and the different pieces that determine what your website looks like and what it does. See you there.